Hello, this is part 3 of my build of a 32-inch pilot boat. I hope you've watched the other 2. If not, you can find them on YouTube. So let's get on with part 3, which is basically building the superstructure on top of the hull. So if you watch the episode 2, it was putting the side skins on and the bottom skin. So basically the hull is finished, although I can see lots of air gaps where the glue's not particularly gone through very well, but we'll sort them out later. So this is where we're at. Not looking too bad. Certainly looks like a boat, which is what I'm after. And also I've installed the motors, battery box and servo into the kit. So the next step on the build is to glue the 4 strips around the inside of the deck hatch, which are these 4 pieces here. So we're going to see how this works, and I think they go that way. Like so. And I'm going to try a bit of super glue on these as well as gluing the frame. So this needs to have a blob here and a blob here and a little bit all along here. Just that bit. But you know what this stuff's like, the packet soon goes off. Let's put him in there, like so. And this one goes onto here. And we'll leave that now to set and come back and finish the next piece. The next part in the instruction says put the cabin frame over the opening on the deck, but important help, put tape on the deck under the frame. So that's what I've done there, and I guess that's to stop this deck frame or the cabin frame from gluing itself to the deck, because this has to be removable for charging the batteries, etc., and access to the other bits and pieces. So then we have to put on each of the cabin formers. So one is there. Back to the glue again. Number 1. These pieces are quite delicate, so care will be required. Number 3. Number 4. And finally the back piece. Okay, so we'll leave that to dry now and come back to it for the next part. So that's all glued in nice and firmly now. Now the next step in the book says to glue in the roof supports. However, it doesn't say about gluing in the cabin side, so I guess that's a step that's been missed in the instructions. But these go into here, and I have to say it's starting to look like a proper boat now. All excited. There. So I'll just glue those in. So it's quite nice. There's these lugs here which fit under the uprights, so it seems to hold it nicely in place. And need a box of clips for this. And I'll do the same with the other one. There we are, and I'm going to wrap a piece of tape around the front because I've got nowhere to clip onto there. So make sure that stays nice and tight. Now the next step is to glue the roof supports in place. There's just 2 of them. So these fit in here. There's 1 and 2. Like that. So that's good. That looks like it's ready now for the front cabin and the roof to go on the top then. The cabin sides are all set on there now. I'm just going to check that I can actually lift this off, which we can, which is very good. So popping back on again just to make sure everything stays square. And the next job is to put the top cabin lid on. Now I have actually trimmed these pieces because in my mind they seem too high, but now I've trimmed them, I found I've trimmed them too low, so I've got a bit of a job to do when it's finished with a bit of sanding and a bit of wood filler, but it's not a problem. These things happen. So let's get that on there. It feels quite square, and I wonder whether I can get these in. Not those ones. That's good. I've got plenty of these to do the job. There, that's good. And I think this bit should have gone on top of there, but I trimmed it a little too short. So we're going to do a bit of glue on there as well. Just to get that to stick in, and we'll adjust the windows when it comes to it. Another little error, but it's all about learning, isn't it? And then the next piece is to glue the cockpit windows in place, making that they are sure that they are central. So as you can just see, I've tried to fit these front windows, but I can't quite manage to sort out how they go. So I'm going to put the roof on, which will leave a gap at the front, and I'll then try and fit the windows. Seems sensible to me. Now I've printed some little bollards to put onto the boat on my 3D printer, but also on the front cabin here is a front hatch, which when that's stuck on will do as a handle. But at the moment I've put hinges on from my old aircraft days, and that just opens nicely to access the motors, and it'll close like that. So the pilot boat is nearly finished as far as the construction goes. Obviously I've got windows and painting and cleaning and sanding to do, and I've still got the rubbing strakes to put on at the side, but I think that's probably about the end of where the video is going to be. Hopefully the final bit will be painted and ready to go in the water. I think I can call the job finished. It hasn't had its water test yet, but I've finished all the bodywork. I have to say I've made one major error, that I was a bit unsure whether the wood joints would be waterproof, and the last thing I wanted was for it to just fill up with water. So I got some epoxy resin and hardener, which I'd had in my workshop for 1 or 2 or 15 years. Mixed it up, started painting it on, and it just made such a mess of it. But I've bought some more epoxy resin since and sanded it down a bit and done a better job, and hopefully it should be okay. It doesn't look too bad, but I'm sure the designer of the boat will be pulling his hair out, but I like it and it looks pretty good to me, and I can't wait to get it in the water. I have made a few. So here you can see the inside of the boat, the servo to run the 2 rudders. There's my battery, a 620 LiPo. Twin cables through to the ESCs, and the receivers just there. I have opened the hatch with a hinge. That allows me to get to the motors, which I think I've already mentioned. I have made a few modifications and added a few sort of trinkets just to make it look a bit more boaty. So I'll show you what I've done. I've made a couple of characters on the 3D printer to go in the cabin, as well as a pilot on the back waiting to find his ship to pilot. I've put the name Humber Sperm Point Kingston upon Hull on the back because I actually had a day out with the Humber pilots, which was a fantastic day, out in the mouth of the Humber, loading the pilots on board. That was brilliant. I've added several handrails and an aerial on the roof, put a Raymar sticker on the radar, and I've added port and starboard lights. I think the pilot boat is now in a good finished situation, and just waiting for the tide to come in so that I can put it to sea and see how she goes. So I've now finished my HAKITS pilot boat. I have to say it was a very good experience, the first one I've done. Obviously I've made lots of mistakes, and it's an all new learning curve. I need to find somewhere behind me now to put it on the wall to display it. Any errors that were made was just my lack of experience and not really knowing what I've done with wooden kits. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel, and that way you'll be able to see other videos that I've made in the past, and also what I'm going to make in the future. My next project will be